Hi everyone, it's Sandia. Welcome back to the Wii channel. Sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while. It's just been going through a bit of a tough time and I wanted to just be a bit on my game when I do upload. So thank you for your patience. I do have everyone's emails and that's been a real big support for me, and I appreciate the show of love and support. That's just been fantastic, and it's seen me through a lot of dark times of my own, so I really appreciate that. So yeah, I want to talk about what I've been alluding to in the past videos, and there's a couple of things which can seem a bit random, but when it comes to creating the life that you want to live, there's a couple of game changers. And one of the big game changers is this is a big one that's going to really propel you forward, and that is really your inner guidance system. So we all have this amazing, otherworldly, super guidance system that we've been born with, and it's kind of like a supercomputer, but not quite. It's way more advanced. Way more, it's advanced is not even the right word. It's a perfect, and I do mean perfect, GPS in a guidance system that you never need to power up, you never need to charge, you never need to reprogram, reboot. It's available to you 24/7. It's always there. It's actually part of you. So it's not like it's left or you need to be a good person to get back to it, or it's none of that. It's just there for you unconditionally. So your inner guidance system has been, when you were young, you were using it all the time. You know, there were a lot of faculties that it comes through and talks to us. So we operate largely with the 5 senses, so sight, touch, smell, sound, touch, and we don't really use our 6th sense, the sense that we were using very much when we were a lot younger, when we were innocent. You know, we employed the 6th sense quite a lot. But unfortunately, through conditioning, social conditioning, trauma, pain, that 6th sense has, you know, been covered up, or kind of like you're throwing a blanket or something over a camera and you can't see, you know. So that 6th sense has been diminished, and also our society and our schools and our universities, they don't train us to measure our success or our self-worth using our 6th sense. We are required to measure our success and our self-worth in this life using our 5 senses. So everything is measured in terms of the evidence of the 5 senses. So what we have, how wealthy we are, how good looking we are, our body, what that looks like, how tall or short we are, how do we fit in, how articulate we are, and how many degrees we have, and so forth and so forth. You know, that's the measure of success. And so the 6th sense, your guidance system, is just always there for you. It's always there for you. The only thing you got to do is reduce your dependency, your codependency on the 5 senses. So the 5 senses are valuable as a practical tool to navigate the world. You know, you don't want to put your hand on a hot stove. Great. You want to enjoy this meal. You want to remember something wonderful, a sight, a touch, a sound, a smell. So those are the things that it's there for. It's not meant to guide you in your decision-making capabilities, in your it's not meant to navigate you through the matrix and to get through to what you want and how you want to show up in the world and what you want to achieve and what you want to see in and around you. So the tool for that is really your 6th sense. So we have to now increase our use of the 6th sense. It's like a muscle that hasn't been used. And Bob Proctor summed it up quite well. You know, he said that there were, if I can remember correctly, there were kind of like 5 or 6 channels that the intuition, that the sixth sense employs, which is the the muscles of memory, of will, reasoning, intuition, instinct. Intuition trumps instinct. So intuition and imagination, perception is the other one as well, and reasoning. So those are the ones, reasoning, will, imagination, memory, perception, and intuition. So you want to develop those senses. You want to develop the way you access them, because everyone's way of accessing it is unique to you. It's unique to the things you like, the things that make sense to you, the things that resonate with you, So don't ever compare yourself to somebody else. You may share some commonalities, but you are completely unique and your path is unique. So the beauty of getting to know this inner guidance system is that your path in life, your success path, is exactly mapped out for you. It's detailed, plans, people, places. It's unique, and it's not meant for anybody else. It's your signature. So you can't look at my success or my failure and measure yourself against that, or somebody else in the media, or some famous person living or dead, or you're someone in your family or in your community. You can't do that. You can look to them for inspiration, but they're following their own path. That is why it's dangerous to measure yourself on what people are doing on Facebook or in the media, entertainment. You've got to start talking to start communing with your sixth sense to find out where is your path of least resistance. So we may garner success in this life, but it often comes at the price of hard work. We achieve success after a long time or a short time, but then we lose it, which is a classic case study of lottery winners. It's a well-known fact that lottery winners lose their money, the bulk of them, within a short space of time. Why? Because they're not in touch with who they are, and they're not in touch with the sixth sense. They're not communing with it, and their beliefs have dictated their wins, and it's also dictated their losses. So you can get money in this life if that's your objective, but is that your objective? So money and the house and the car and the perfect relationship and the health and self-expression and talent, all of that is just a side effect to what you really want. And what you really, really want, largely, if you really want to be honest with yourself, is to feel fulfilled and to feel expansive, to feel creative. You feeling like you're in touch with something that's in you, that's greater than you, and you're expressing it. Your imagination, your fulfillment, your level of fulfillment. So there are a lot of people that are extremely wealthy and extremely unfulfilled. There's a lot of actors that are depressed. There's a lot of well-known people that are suicidal. So it's not just us that are suicidal, There are people outside of us that you think are successful. You don't know the rest of their story. You just see the face of their success. You don't know what's in their hearts. You don't know what depression, anxiety they're battling. And you don't know what's driving them, what's driving them privately, their private pain. So make no mistake, peace of mind and feeling loved and giving love and just peace, what does that look like in your life? So we're driven by, I've spoken many times on the mathematical equation of 80,000 thoughts a day, okay, that you're thinking. And where do these thoughts come from? About 80% of them, and Dr. Bruce Lipton says it a lot better than me, but about 80% of them come from your subconscious belief that's most likely been ingrained from the time that you were young, okay? So these thoughts are coming up and you're subjected to those beliefs. So you can try to think a positive thought, you can try to affirm, and you often wonder why it's not working. Why is my vision board not working? Why are my skills, my degree is not getting me what I want? I'm a good person. I do good in this life. Why are the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer? Why am I one step forward and 3 steps back? It's because you were driven by your subconscious, and you've got to get a handle on your subconscious beliefs. You've got to get a handle on your thoughts. You've got to get a handle on what you think. Everything that you see around you has been created by a thought. Think about it. It's not a feeling. The feeling is generated from a thought. So a thought is what created the great railways. People saw it. They pictured it in their mind. They pictured cities being built across Middle America, where there were just vast wastelands in China, and now there's huge cities, there's people, there's churches, there's schools, there's synagogues, there's life, where there was nothing before. So that same power that Edison, Einstein tapped into, Nelson Mandela, Paramahansa Yogananda, all the greats, Tony Robbins, Neville Goddard, Napoleon Hill, that same power you have complete access to. You are not less than them or greater than them. You, and everyone is connected. So that same power that creates the world, the solar system that we sitting in, tsunamis, volcanoes, mountains, that same power is the power that is available to you all the time. All the time. It's not taking a day off. Nature doesn't take a day off. You don't get an hour off when you sleep and your heart stops, your systems stops working. Your functions just cease. No, you sleep at night knowing that your body is still going to function and do everything it needs to do. The endocrine system, everything needs to function perfectly. So that same divine intelligence is what you're tapping into, the same creative power that Bach, Beethoven, Michelangelo all tapped into is available to you. So your perfect path of success, and by success I mean in addition to getting what you want, wealth, the perfect relationship, love, happiness, fulfillment, expression, creativity, enthusiasm, expansiveness, that same thing is there for you. That same guiding power is there for you to take you to your path of least resistance, your path, your unique path of success. Not mine, not somebody else's, but yours. Okay, so let's not forget that it's not somebody else's success, it's your one, your signature. So in order to have that daily communion, you need to be aware of the things that can cloud your inner guidance system. So the big ones, obviously, are your limited beliefs. Now, you don't have to do what a lot of us have done, go into your childhood and figure out the trauma and keep shining a light on it and looking at it at a million different ways, and then you just spend 10, 20, 30 years fixing yourself. No, that's what a lot of law of attraction people have taught. And that is a lot of what Western psychiatry and some Eastern philosophies are based on, where you keep looking at what's wrong with you and you keep trying to fix yourself. So you're going to keep on that loop in the matrix of trying to fix yourself, and that itself becomes an addiction. So addictions are a large part of what actually blocks your guidance system. So it's really quite shocking when you look at your addictions. And I'm not talking about the obvious ones: cocaine, alcohol, gambling, pornography. There's a lot of food, there's medicine, there's a lot of other addictions that are flying under the radar of your daily life that you're not looking at. So the biggest addiction is an addiction to a negative thought pattern. So that is the biggest addiction. Example, gossip, entertainment news. Disconnect from it, don't support it, don't pay for it on your television package. Change it for National Geographic, I don't know, change it to something else, because that entire channel is devoted to keep you numb. So you're releasing an addiction hormone, the dopamine, and you're getting a false sense of serotonin, of happiness. You know, you're getting a false sense of temporary relief through watching the lives of others, stalking them in a way and wishing that you were them, you know. So it leaves you feeling unfulfilled and dissatisfied with the way you look, the sound, and your level of success. Same thing when you look at magazines and you look at all of the beautiful men and women, you know, you're left with feeling not good enough. And that triggers now the belief system that's sitting underneath that says that you're not good enough, the faulty way of thinking, the distortion in the matrix. You're feeding the distortion through gossip, entertainment channel, etc., etc., right? Another one is going to places that you know trigger your level of unworthiness, of mistrust in the world and in yourself and in others, your level of safety and security, your level of peace. So watch your addictions, you know, going to places where women and men are being abused, knowingly or unknowingly, and being degraded, you know. Pornography, just try it, just stop it, you know, just give it a chance. If you fail, it's okay. If you fail at weaning yourself off your addiction, just get back on the horse. Don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Try to go cold turkey, you know, because the addiction feeds the mind, and your mind is being hardwired in a distorted way. So your perception, a key tool in your sixth sense, your perception is distorted, and you keep feeding the distortion. So, for example, when you get off watching porn, when you finish watching porn, or when kids finish watch PlayStation, or when you finish gorge yourself on something that you know, and I do that. Unfortunately, I'm addicted to Coca-Cola, you know. So when you finish, you get a false sense of that happiness, you know, because your addiction hormone has been released, so your perception is distorted. Excessive use of social media, of TV, is blocking your six senses, because now you're being fed with data from the external environment. Your creative senses are not being deployed. Your imagination is not being deployed. Your will, your reasoning is being affected. Everything is distorted. It's a glitch in the matrix, in the program. And obviously underpinning all of that are these beliefs of abandonment, rejection, worthiness, not being good enough, where your efforts are not being recognized, you know, fear, depression, anxiety, anxiousness, panic, feelings of loss, you know, lack, that constant chain of addiction is just looping itself, and media feeds it, your behaviors feed it, you know, and you're just basically a dysfunctional zombie that's that's got a mask on in society, and you're laughing and you're joking and you're interacting with people at work or in social settings, but you're really a complete you're just really a complete zombie, really, you know, that's being fed and dictated to by the dysfunctional system inside. Everything is distorted inside. So you've got to shut those things down that feed the senses. You've got to control what feeds the senses, because this can become a beast, you know, on its own. And you've got to increase your imagination, your will, your reasoning, your perception. Every time there's a negative thought pops up in your head, you must just say to yourself, oh gosh, that's a glitch in the system, you know, that's a distortion, you know, and you no longer want to feed that program. You want to come and play over here. Come and play over here where your real life can begin. You can stop playing over there. We know what that looks like. We've done that for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. We know the outcomes. We know how that train runs, you know. We have moments of temporary happiness. We're largely dissatisfied. We never get where we want. We're unhealthy, mentally, physically, emotionally. we're just trying to survive over there in that program. So you don't want to feed that program anymore. Come and play over here. Just be quiet. You know, if you're the kind of person that when you come home, you put on the TV, you know, or you're busy on your computer, or you're on your phone, then chances are you need to just sit quietly. If you're not the kind of person that meditates, don't put any pressure on yourself. Just sit, just be still, you know, and just don't take my word for it. Just test it with all my things. Don't take my word for it. Just test it for yourself and see what happens, you know. But the way you access your six senses, you're just going to relearn it. It's there. It's waiting for you. You'll get a hunch. You'll get an idea. You'll go somewhere and then your six senses will say to you, hang on a second. Though that company is closed, you know, it's after 6 in the evening. So there's nothing there. And somehow you'll get a hunch to take a right turn instead of a left. And your entire world will open up. A new reality will open up. If you went left, you would have gone back to the old program. If you went right, an entire new reality opens up and a new you gets accessed, you know. You follow a hunch to call someone, to just pick up the phone and phone someone. And, you know, we never do that. We never actually, because our pride gets in the way and we're lazy, or we don't look good enough, you know, on video. And, you know, we'll call them next week. And then you put that off, you know. Don't put anything off. Just follow that hunch. Follow that idea. And it'll often come to you in a way that's new, that's different, you know. So don't be surprised when you don't recognize it and it sounds foreign, because the egoic mind will say, hang on a second, we can't access that new and foreign thought or idea because it's not safe. So it recognizes it as a threat. Incoming data that we're not used to is a threat, you know. So go with it. Go with your hunches. Just quieten down enough to let your sixth sense muscle start becoming the strongest muscle. This is the most important thing you can actually do. And this should be taught at schools. And our kids should learn this. You should encourage your kids' imagination. You should encourage them to use their six senses properly and to use their five senses appropriately, not inappropriately. So the beliefs that we had, that the distorted beliefs that we formed, the limiting beliefs and disempowering beliefs that we formed as children were appropriate at the time where the trauma in your life was introduced. So they were appropriate and they were there to protect you at that point in time of 2 years old, 3 years old, 7, whatever, 6 years old. They're no longer appropriate at age 20 or 50 or 80. They're no longer appropriate. You have to recognize the power they have over you, give that the respect it deserves, and then disrespect it. Take it off its pedestal and kick it out of your system. It belongs in that old program, the old you. And it relies on addictions to keep you there. The egoic mind has to fight for its survival, you know. And it was useful at a certain point in time in your life. It's no longer useful. It doesn't serve you anymore. And you know, whenever you've given into that belief, you know, it's never served you. It's always bombed out, you know. So watch your addictions. Addictions come in many forms. Excessive complaining about something is an addiction. Excessive pride, not being able to give in, is an addiction, you know. You'll be walking in your house and you'll just watch your thoughts, your 80,000 thoughts. Just watch them, and a thought will come to your head and it'll be like, oh, that person, I'm never going to speak to them again because they hurt me. So living in hurt and living in regret and living in blame and shame is an addiction. It's not just pornography and gambling and alcohol and drugs. It's not just those things. Addictions come in many forms, and I recently let go of a major addiction a few months ago, and I couldn't believe how much time it freed up in my physical body, my energy, I was like, gosh, I normally give into this addiction at this point in time in my day or my week, etc. And I was actually freed up of physical. We know that time is fluid, right? Time doesn't really exist. You can change time. But I was literally freed up. And then recently I observed another addiction creeping up, where I would look at certain YouTube videos to get some comfort and advice from other people. So I would run to these YouTube videos when I was feeling down and depressed, and I've been going through a hard time, and I would rely on them for guidance. And I started seeing myself doing this 2 o'clock in the morning, when I was feeling down, and I started seeing this addiction creep up on me, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then for 1 week, I actually stopped looking at those set of YouTube videos, and I couldn't believe I actually had physical time on my hands. Physical time. So you'll be surprised when you start identifying your addictions, your level of complaining, your level of bitching and moaning, your level of focusing on the past, what this person did to you, and not letting it go. Choosing to stay hurt, choosing to not take accountability, procrastination, all these things, they're forms of addictions, and they cloud your 6 senses, So there's a lot of people that you run to for advice. You run to, this is a big one, sorry, I forgot, I should have mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but another big one is you need to cut out your advisory board. You got to reduce them by at least 97%, I would say. You got to rely in a guidance system. That's your ultimate. Like, even this video is not it. This video does not trump your guidance system, what it's telling you. So pastors, rabbis, psychiatrists, tarot readers, channelers, psychics, the people on the media, the newscasters, journalists, ministers of parliament, all these people that you look to for guidance, take it with a pinch of salt, especially if they're telling you to keep fixing yourself, because it's hit and miss with them. One day they're making you feel good, the next day they're not saying something that makes sense, but they're supposed to be an authority in that field. So you listen to them, but it doesn't make sense. Something in your being is telling you that it's wrong, it's not making sense. So listen to your gut, start listening to your hunches, start working with your instinct, but let your intuition guide your instinct, because your intuition trumps that. So start playing around with it, and on the days where you have bad days, and on the days where you're not getting it right, and when you really, the pain hits, and we've all been there, the pain is hitting. Like, some days I'll sit and I'll just suddenly start crying, and my sadness and our pain will be overwhelming, and I just feel like there's no one there. I don't have anyone to turn to. I don't have a friend, because I don't like to talk about my stuff, and I don't want to shine a light on it and keep manifesting the same thing. So I tend to not talk about stuff, and the pain is so bad, and it hits you, and you don't know who to turn to. You've asked God for help, and you feel like God is not there. And on those days, don't try to do this stuff. On those days where the momentum where the snowball effect, it's so big, it's snowballing now. So on those days, take a walk or go to bed. That's it. And just say to yourself, because Florence Spektor had a great thing, and she was like, and she was an artist and a philosopher, a new thought author, and she basically would say, God or your higher self, whatever you believe in, she just said, I hand this burden over to you. Please just take this burden and transmute it, and I hand it over to you, and I hand it over to the grace of God. So just do that. When you have no answers, do that. Okay? But generally, for the most part, when you start feeling icky and it's coming up, that despair and that loss and that pain, you want to try to catch it before it gains momentum. You want to just fix it and say, okay, that's a distortion from the old programming. Sadness is a distortion as well, by the way, So you want to revert and default, press reset to natural state, which is fulfillment, it is peace. It is loving yourself, like liking yourself. And then the other thing I noticed, which is also, by the way, a big game changer, I'll do another video on this, but it's thinking well of others. And that's something I had to relearn recently, because I had others pigeonholed in a negative space, and I had taken accountability for stuff that happened. So I was like, okay, fine, this happened to me. I put myself in these situations where I was not being loved or cherished enough, and I was being taken for granted, and fine, let me take responsibility. But I wasn't thinking well of that person. I was thinking well of myself, but I was still refusing to change the narrative around that person. So when I started looking at them in a better light and choosing to see the best version of them, not just of myself, that was a big game changer. And all these things, all these game changers, it raises your sixth sense up here, and it reduces the addiction and the belief and the five senses. It reduces it to there, and you then start installing the correct programming. Okay, that's what you want to go for. That's the game here. All you're doing is reinstalling the correct programming, because this has been messed up from childhood, okay, from trauma. And if you are doing this and you're not getting what you want, that's okay. Don't listen to people that say you got to still fix yourself. Okay, you're not getting what you want because you know what? You still got to fix yourself. You're still running with beliefs that don't serve you, blah, blah, blah. No, I've recently just had a healthy conversation with someone online, just because they were giving this information. They were telling people, oh, hang on a second, if you're still not getting what you want, if you looked at your beliefs and you've kicked them out, and you're working on your self-concept, and you're looking at yourself in a healthy way now, you're no longer trashing yourself and saying things like, I think bad things always happen to me, blah, blah, blah. Why me? You've reinstalled the program, and you're starting to say, things work out for me. Things always work out for me. I'm loved. I'm safe in this world. It's okay to trust. It's okay to be happy. You're doing all of that, and you're still not seeing the life you want, and things still aren't changing. Just enjoy the current reality, the 3D reality, even though you don't take it seriously. Just enjoy it. And let the universe and let that greater power do its work in the background. Let it bring to you that relationship, that love, that healing, that let it bring it to you, because now you're not going to be chasing your dreams are going to be chasing you. That's the difference. You're not going to be hustling. You're not going to be reacting to 3D as much. And when you do, it's okay. It's okay. Just get back on the horse. Come over here. Come and play over here. Stop feeding into the program. When you feed into the program, recognize it and be dispassionate about it. Take it off its pedestal. When you worship it, when you want something too much, take it off its pedestal. Come and play over here. Just keep doing that. It's repetition. So remember, what we're doing here is not a quick fix. 1 + 1 does not equal to 2 in this thing, okay? This is a way of life that you're establishing for yourself. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You can get rich. You're going to lose it. Or you're going to manifest some sort of disease, because your beliefs are still running you like a zombie. You're still walking around here and you're a robot, basically, running by a certain program. So you're reinstalling the program that you want, okay? And you're putting in the behaviors and the attitudes and the opinions. You're basically starting from scratch on everything, on every aspect of your life. You're inviting people back in that you have cut ties with and you refuse to forgive, even if they are still fighting with you and they're still holding. Sorry, I've reached my maximum time on the video. I can't believe this. But even if those people are, even if those people are still fighting with you or still holding you to a certain standard, don't react. Don't try to convert anyone in this world. Don't try to convert them to your way of thinking. Do this quietly. Do this undercover, quietly. It's not meant for you to try to change others. The change just is you. That's it. And the rest of the world will meet you at your new belief. They're currently meeting you here now. So if you feel the world's a safe place, unsafe place, the world is gonna meet you at that belief. If you feel you're being taken advantage of, the world is gonna meet you there. So now you've raised the bar, and the world is gonna rearrange itself, and it's gonna meet you here. Okay? So you're just gonna keep raising the bar. When you fall off the wagon, raise it back up. When you feel you failed, raise it back up. When you're thinking negative thoughts, that's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't think you failed. Just keep doing it, and then you will see it'll just start becoming natural. You know, you won't understand what's happening. You'll be like, gosh, now when a iffy thought or a belief or a behavior comes up, you recognize it a lot quicker, and you're like, don't feed into it anymore. You change. You'll see what I mean. You'll actually change, and you're no longer going to beat yourself up about your mistakes and your regrets and I should have, and replaying the conversations of the past over and over and over in your head, because the past is done. I mean, like, what you're going to do now, you know, it's done. You can go back and revise it, which is a Neville Goddard technique, by the way. You know, we'll talk about that in another video. But don't live in the past. That's just running the old program. Just come and play over here, where the good stuff is going to happen, okay? And it's you're committing to a long-term process, short-term results, but you're committing to a long-term, lifelong new you. It's a new you that you're creating, okay? And the right people and circumstances and places will meet you there. Everyone will meet you where you're at. It's the bottom line, you know? So don't be worried if people leave your life because you change. They'll come back. The right people will come back, you know, and they could have changed as well because you're changing your concept of them. So they're looking good as well. You know, in your head, you're holding them to a different version of them. You're holding them to the same high standard that you're holding yourself. But how awesome they are. You're only seeing their good points now. You're no longer focused on their negative points. That's a big game changer. Even if they show up not in a great way, you're still holding them to that standard in your head, how awesome they are. And remember, every single day, you're setting your attention in the morning, in the evening before you sleep. You set your intentions, right? Or how you want the day to look like. And then you go with that. And in the morning when you wake up, you sit quietly, you give yourself that space when you're coming out of theta, delta, theta, beta, alpha, when you're still in that theta state, your subconscious can be adjusted. And in the evening as well, as you're going down from alpha, beta, theta to delta, you're changing it, okay? So have fun with it. When the pain hits, go to sleep, but get back on the wagon, okay? And you'll see. Just don't take my word for it. Just try it for yourself and just see how awesome this can be for you and for others. Others will just adjust, but don't try to change other people. Let them come and meet you. And remember, this is what you're really going for. The other stuff that you want, the body, the looks, the skin, the money, the health, the person that you're chasing, the family relationships, the cars, you know, the life you want. Those are side effects. That's going to come anyway. But this is really the big one. This is really the goal, okay? So lots of love. I hope this made sense, and I'll try to join the two videos together. And take care. Bye.